What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, put that on all so that you can get notified immediately, like as soon as we drop any new vlogs on the channel. So without further ado, let's get into this one. The controversial draw at 154. Poetically, that's what I call it, which was the fight that took place this past Saturday. Took place over in Texas, where Jermell Charlo is from. And yeah, this was for all the marbles at 154 pounds, aka light middleweight division. Yeah, going into this fight, good thing to see. It was refreshing to see, because one thing I like to see in boxing is undisputed. It's very rare that you get all the belts together and you get that fight where we get to find out once and for all who's the main man in the division. So yeah, that was the premise behind this fight. Both guys coming in, good records, just the one loss for Charlo, and just the one draw for my man Castano, Brian Castano. So as this fight opened up, the opening round was quite cagey. There wasn't too much activity going on. You could see from the offset that Charlo's thing was to try and sort of outbox Castano. He was probing with the jab, sort of poking the jab out there, mixing it up a little bit, trying to keep Brian Castano at range. Castano was kind of stalking Charlo, coming after him, sort of trying to cut him down, cut the ring off a bit, and he was yeah, it was interesting. There wasn't too much to pick between the two guys. Yeah, it's one of them where you might pick Charlo because there wasn't too much coming from Castano, but it was that close that it was literally just a feeling out round, I'd say, for round one. You know, Castano, as the fight went on, he got Charlo against the ropes quite a few times. Even going back, to the first round, Castano did get Charlo on the ropes a few times, and Charlo again exclusively was fighting on the back foot. But for the most part, it was quite cagey. There wasn't too much going on. Charlo did touch the ropes a few times, but he boxed well. Good stuff behind the jab, you know. It was a decent round. One front foot fight for Charlo on the back foot, and it was kind of a pick 'em round there. As we moved on, sort of second round, that was another round that was quite decent. There wasn't too much going on there. It was one where Castano, he realized, and he knew he's a slightly shorter guy. He fights in a sort of peekaboo-esque stance, so he realized his chance. Well, he would have known going in that his chance is when you put the pressure on Charlo, push him back, stick it on him, try and just apply pressure, try and basically rough him up or beat him up. And that's what he began to start doing. He was putting the pressure on Charlo round two, just putting him on there, but then he paid the price at the same time. So he was getting the tactics kind of right, but at certain times when Castano would attack, he would be open for the counters, and Charlo was, a lot of Charlo's tactics, some of the is to sort of sit back and wait for counter shots, and that's what he was sort of doing in the second. And you know, Castano's come forward, putting the pressure on him, but then gets clapped with a nice left hook, which was, you know, for me, definitely punch of the round. Good shot by him, and you know, the fight began to sort of warm up from that second round. Where Charlo hurts Castano, he did following up with barrages of shots, but he wasn't quite able to get him out of there. He wasn't quite able to put him down. Castano did kind of smile, and he sort of nodded and signaled that he was all right, and he just continued through the fight. Castano, early in the third, he decided to sort of sit back, so you saw a bit of a switch of tactics when it came to the third round, with Castano sort of sitting back and looking to sort of be a little bit out of range, but again, that kind of played into Charlo's hands, as Charlo was much more successful in the third, landing several shots, good counters, again, using that stick, as they call it in America, using that good jab, and he was able to use the jab to very good effect in the third, just looking for counters, landed some good 1-2s, and, he sort of had his way for not the whole round, but yeah, a lot of the round was sort of Charlo having his own way, doing well with the jab, and winning just simple things. He was doing just 1-2s, nice straight shots, landing the counters, and yeah, he done pretty well in there, though it was being pressured. But then towards the end of the third round, you had Castano came on with a barrage of punches, and he managed to hurt Charlo in the third round. So he kind of, although yes, Charlo was having a bit more success at certainly the early point of the round, Castano did manage to sort of close the proceedings with some hurtful shots. He did manage to sort of get to Charlo and hurt him a bit as we went into the fourth round. And Castano, he started the fourth round positively. He was coming forward. One thing, as the sort of American commentary noted, that he was very good at cutting off the ring, and he done that to quite decent effect. He was able to make it so that Charlo didn't have many escape routes. He boxed well. The fourth round for me, noted that one down in my notes here, that, good positive round overall for Castano. His tactics were sort of paying off, the pressure, pushing Charlo back, sort of putting it on him, throwing his little combinations and just cutting the ring off, Good solid work, aggressive work by Castano in the especially in the fourth round. And Charlo, for his part, he was as again just mainly on that back foot, retreating, taking backward steps, and Castano was able to sort of cut him off and trap him at certain points on the rope. So good rounds for him. And we had Charlo sort of switching tactics as we went towards the midpoint of the fight, fifth round. Well, not quite a midpoint then. Yeah, fifth round. So Charlo decided fifth round, switch the tactics a little bit, because his coach, Derek James, was sort of calling for him to push Castano back, because he was saying, he's not going to like it going back. Throw the jab, follow it left hook, go downstairs to his body. So his coach was encouraging Charlo to sort of push him back, go on the front foot, push him back, because he's not going to like it. And Charlo switched up those tactics in the fifth, and it kind of worked for him. He was putting Castano under some good pressure, using his combinations. He was still kind of keeping it long, but at the same time stepping forward and just pushing Castano back and putting him under some pressure, because sometimes that can work against pressure fighters. If those that like to come forward all the time, if you can manage to push them back and sort of turn the fight on its head, then it can work for you, because sometimes they don't know what to do. A good example is what Tyson Fury done against Deontay Wilder. Fury's the dancer, he's the boxer, he's the one great with movement, and he's known for dancing around the ring and being elusive. But he said, no, I'm going to stick it on this guy. I'm going to come forward, feint, and sometimes it works. It worked against Wilder, and in this round in particular, it worked. He put Castano under some pressure. It worked, but then later in the round, Castano began to figure it out a bit, and he turned it around, and he said, no, you're not going to put me under pressure, I'm going to put you under pressure. And it was an overall very good fifth round, very good back and forth, because Castano kind of turned it around, and he closes it with a very good combination. He closes out the round, those last sort of minute, 30 seconds of the round, closed it out very well with good combination punching, and put Charlo back under some pressure again. The mid rounds, 6, 7, 8, 9, again, very hard to score, very close. There was sort of swinging back and forth in those mid rounds. We pick up in round 10, the championship rounds. These were also, in some sense, they kind of swung back and forth. I'd say the best round of the fight for Charlo was probably the 10th. He had a very, very good 10th round. He had Castano sort of badly hurt. Castano was in major, major trouble in the 10th. He was almost all over the place. He's still, one thing about him is he's got such a good chin, and although he was hurt, you could see visibly hurt. You could see that his legs were always under him. So although he was hurt, he still had that toughness, that mental toughness, and that physical toughness to still not lose his footing, and still, he was still sort of able to come after Charlo, and Charlo gave it all he had, just bang, 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 just landing punch after punch after punch. And he hurt Castano, but he wasn't able to sort of finish the job. Castano at some, sort of smiled and still came forward, was still in the fight, which was good for him. And then, it was one of them where Charlo ends around really good. Great round for Charlo, brilliant. If he had the knockdown, it would have been a clear 10-8 round for him, but, anyway. And what Castano done is he kind of turns it on its head again in the 11th round, because he comes back into the fight in the 11th round, and he's aggressive. He's coming in, swarming Charlo, punches in bunches, putting Charlo under the cosh, putting him under real pressure. And, Charlo does fire back, but overall, it's mainly, Castano just swarming in and wading in with big shots, trying to hurt Charlo. So that was another brilliant round, the 11th round. Good round for Castano, great comeback for him. And again, the 12th round, the final round, was also a pretty close round, with Castano maybe doing a slightly better work from what I recall, but Castano was just sort of charging forward, going after Charlo, again, more of what we saw in the 11th round. Charlo was able to come back with his own shots, but I think overall probably Castano done a bit more, and result gets announced. It's a split decision. I think it's a split draw that they got. And for me overall, I think you could argue, I can see where Castano and his lot coming from, that maybe he did do just enough, but you could still make a pretty good argument also for Jermell Charlo, you know what I mean? So I think for me personally, I'm not bothered about the draw. I'm not really disappointed with the draw or anything like that, because I think there were so many swing rounds in there. The only thing I think I would disagree with is that one judge had it a bit too wide. But apart from that, I think the draw is probably the right result for this fight, because it swung back and forth, and it was a very tough one to score. So who'd be a judge? So it's one of them where I can definitely say I'm quite content with the draw. But anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Who did you have winning, Charlo, Castano? Are you also happy with the draw? Are you okay with the draw? Or do you think it was a robbery, as some have said? And anyway, till next time, this is MKO Pugilism, over and out. I will catch you next time.